Great. All right, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. So like Logan said, welcome everyone. This is Exploring Web of Science. My name is Emma and I'm a graduate library assistant. And Logan is also a graduate library assistant. So kind of today we're going to go over some of the specific things about Web of Science that kind of separate it from other databases, some of the updates that have been made recently, and then kind of walk you through how to do a search in Web of Science. And kind of go through that process today. So before I dive into showing you how to access Web of Science, I'm just going to kind of go over kind of what it is. So it's a platform that provides a variety of index databases that include citations for journals, books, and conference proceedings. And also, in addition to the core collection, Web of Science is really cool, and it has also be used to search other databases, such as Bios Citation Index, Data Citation Index, and Medline. So, and then kind of some reasons to use Web of Science maybe over other scientific databases are, we'll go over this a little bit later, but their document search offers a lot more granularity than maybe our Discover at MU search that you'll see here in the middle of the screen. You can also do a cited reference search, author search, and again, like I said, we'll kind of go over all of these later in the presentation. So how to access Web of Science, I'll just go over that right now. It's pretty easy. So here I'm on the main library webpage. This is just library.missouri.edu. And then if we're going to scroll down, it'll be under looking for and then a database. So I'll just click on that. And then there are two ways you can go about finding it. You can either type in Web of Science right here, or you can go to W and then scroll down and find it. I'm just going to go ahead and type it in. So, and then I'll scroll down and you'll see there's actually two that pop up. And like I mentioned, you can select the core collection, or you can do all databases, and you can also select a specific database later if you change your mind. So I'm just going to go ahead and click on the core collection. So as you can see, if you're familiar with Web of Science, some of this might look familiar, but as I mentioned, Web of Science has recently updated, and so there's an updated interface. So again, like I said, some things, if you've used it before, will a lot of it will look familiar, and some of it will look a little bit different. So we're going to try to talk about a little bit of both of those as we go through the presentation today. So for the sake of this, I'm going to go to the new version and hit check it out. So now that we're on the main page here, you can kind of see the main three search boxes that I kind of mentioned at the beginning: documents, authors, cited references, and then you can also see right here that you can search all fields, or you can search topic, title, author, etc. All of these things. And I do also want to mention, if you switch from documents to you'll see the new updates they'll show you right here. So that if you change to one of the other databases, so let's say I change to Bios Citation Index, this drop-down menu will also change. So that's something to also keep in mind, that it's not going to necessarily have the exact same drop-down for every single one. So, and also here you can see you can add rows. So if you want to search multiple search terms. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to the core collection. And then, as you can see, I'm just going to search psychology as a search term. That's interesting. So I'll go ahead and run that. And then, as you'll see over here, excuse me, you'll see the traditional, like sources come up down here. If you find some that are interesting that you want to save maybe to a list, like here, I like this source and this source, you can create a marked list and save all of those within Web of Science. So I'll add those. And then you'll see up here at the top that they're showing that right there. You can also go ahead and export them either through a citation manager or some other thing right here. I won't necessarily go through that right now, but that's also a really cool thing that they have. You can also do copy the query link. So what that means is you can save all of this you can go right back to this page. Excuse me. I also want to point out at the top, I've already created an account here. So it hasn't asked me to sign in or anything like that. But I do want to mention that when you do make an account, you don't have to use necessarily your school email for Mizzou. So I just wanted to go ahead and point that out. Let's see, I mentioned, you can also, here, so you can create an alert so you can get in your email if a new paper or something is published on Web of Science that relates to this search term that I just saved. I can go ahead and create an alert, and then I'll get an alert in my email if a new paper drops. And then this is also really cool at the bottom here. They have this new resource and update section. So again, you'll see here they have product updates, help and contact. I think that's really cool as well. So, and again, over here, besides obviously the title here, and then the where it was found in the year, you'll also see over here on the left kind of the quick filters. So you can search for, if you're looking for an open access paper, highly cited paper, things like that, publication year, document type, and then various Web of Science categories so that you can refine your search even smaller if need be. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Logan for a little bit more in-depth analysis. If anybody has any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or put a question in the chat, and we'll try to answer it for you.
Can everyone hear me okay? I'm gonna go ahead and stop my video while I'm talking. I've had an unstable connection and trying to reduce the load on my internet. So as Emma mentioned, I'm going to pick up the rest from here. I'm performing the same search and I'm on the same page. I am logged in. Right now, it doesn't matter whether or not you're logged in because I'm not doing anything particular, but if you do want to keep the marked list, as Emma was talking about, or be able to view your alerts and edit your alerts, you will want to be signed in. So the first thing that we're going to look at is just a sample record. It'll look mostly like a normal record. So over here, and kind of the big part of it is the traditional detailed records. So the abstract, citation information, if you were going to write the citation, some information about the authors. Over to the right in the citation network is kind of where the Web of Science aspect comes in. So the 10 here is the, and if you hover over it, it'll even tell you it's the number of records that cited this record. And you can click on it and it'll take you to a list of those records. Right now, it's showing that there are 10 citations in the Web of Science core collection and 10 citations in all of the databases. So whether or not you were searching Web of Science core or in all of the databases that Web of Science is currently supporting, you'd still get the same. So this is helpful if you're searching in core, but you want to look and make sure that you're not missing any citations from one of the other databases. Cited references is the number of references that this record cites. You can either click on this number or you can scroll down and see all of these references. You can view the set as a results search as opposed to here, and that'll let you do more of the working with it, adding them to a list, exporting them. You'll also see the journal information, the impact factor from 2019. And so it's a little bit different than maybe a record in a different database, but it's very similar to the same layout from previous Web of Science. One thing I want to look at while we're here is the view related records. So a related record, as I'm hovering over, it's telling you it's all the other records that share at least one reference with this article. So say you're looking for related articles, and so the first step you might do is look at what it's referenced. That's what I do if I'm really struggling to find something that's kind of niche. I look at, okay, what are they referencing? But sometimes none of those really give me something that I want to work with or that really fits the way I wanted it to. Here, you can click View Related Records, and it'll bring you to a results list of all those related records. And one of the cool things is that it ranks them by default by how many records are shared. So this shows that between guided science and the pure psychology article we were just looking at, they have 4 of the same shared references, which kind of tells you how relevant it may or may not be to you. And you can scroll through this list, do the same if you want to, add it to your list, export it. The next thing I'm going to talk about that we can kind of see on this page is the analyze results in the citation report. Previously, if you were noticing these buttons, the citation report was not clickable. It was kind of grayed out like this create alert is. That's because you can only view a citation report when there's less than 10,000, I believe, records. So let's first look at analyze results. This lets you identify, I think, some major players or things to keep in mind with your field or your specific interest. So the first thing is Web of Science categories. So what types of things are these records related to? But perhaps even more helpful are looking at maybe who are the big authors or who are the big publishers or who are, you can even see the funding agencies. So maybe you're looking at funding or you want to start looking into funding. So who should I go to? You can click on funding agencies and it'll let you view. So National Institutes of Health is kind of a big funder for these results. You can view it as this visualization as a tree map. You can view it as a bar chart, or if you scroll down, it gives you the straight up list. You can download this data if you want to use it for something else, or if you just want to keep it. And that's kind of one of, I think, the strong points of using Web of Science over maybe doing Discover at MU, is that you can really get down into these specific things that aren't necessarily specifically just looking for an article, but more about the article and about the state of that topic area. Related report is the citation report. Give it a second to load. It breaks down your results. So how many publications, so how many results you got, how many articles cited these publications, and how many articles these publications cited. I said those backwards. So the citing articles is how many these publications cited and then how many times they've been cited. And it also gives you an age index. One thing you might notice is the without self-citations. So any record that is included in this set has been removed as far as like counting as a number and the self-citations. That way you're getting less of maybe duplicate data. It shows you this nice little graph so you can kind of see how citations are changing and number of publications are changing over years. And then it also breaks down to the very particular, like how many citations has this particular item gotten within a particular year. So you can tell that maybe it's dropping off now, or maybe it's amping up. One thing to note is that 2020 will look a little bit different because it is the beginning of the year. So if you see a low number for a particular year, if it's an active year, it won't be as specific, obviously, but the average, does kind of even out if you're closer to the end of a particular year. And you can go back to pretty far back. I haven't tested how far back it goes, but it goes back decently far, decently forward. You can change how this citation cites first, date, usage, conference title. You can also remove them from your list. So this say you're not interested in it, but you had it here, you can click minus. It'll eventually load and go away. So that's really neat. I'm getting more notifications that my internet connection is unstable, so I'm sorry if I'm cutting out at all. Are there any questions on either of these two parts so far? Okay, don't see any questions, so we're gonna go back to our search real quick. I don't know, so as Emma was talking, you can either search or you can search by a particular article or particular collection database. If you click on your search, you can edit your basic search, but you can also click the advanced search. So say you were noticing that maybe you don't want to have to look through all of the results that are coming with core, but you want more than one of the other options available. If you go into the advanced search, one of the helpful things you can do is limit it to multiple, but not all. So if you click in the more options drop down, you can click in the all citation index, and then you can actually select specific citation indexes. So maybe you're only interested in one or two, you can click add them, and that's a way to kind of limit your search a little bit more. Next, we're going to move on to the author search. So go back to our search. No? Okay. And we're going to click on authors. This is great. I like this Web of Science, or just in general Web of Science, because it's really good at telling you what things are and what they mean and what exactly you can use them for. So this is helpful if you want to look up a particular author, see what they've published, see how their publications are going. And you can also claim your own author page, and if there's something wrong on it, there's a button to edit it and or to submit corrections, and I'll point that out later. So you can either search by name, last name, first name, or you can search by your author identifier, such as an ORCID ID or researcher ID. The author I'm going to use is one of the CISL professors. Last name Adkins, and then first name. As you start typing, it'll also pop up suggestions. So I think that's pretty helpful. So we're going to search Denise Adkins. Wait for it to load. I apologize for internet connection. So depending on how unique or how general someone's name is, or if you put in their full first name versus just an initial, you'll see a different number of results here. So what you need to do as the researcher or as the person looking this information up is to go through and find all of the entries that actually match who you're looking for. So you can see here, this is the right address that I know for her. I don't know, her Web of Science ID. I don't know if she's published under another name, but I do know that these are the journals she publishes in, and this is the correct address. So I know that's one of them that I want to do or want to look at. The second one, again, I can tell that this information, she is part of the system. She does teach in Columbia in this, School of Information, and I know that she's published in Library Quarterly. So we're going to click that one too. If you're not sure, you can go ahead and press the recent publications drop down, and it'll load titles, general citation information for recent publications. So maybe you're not sure, you think it's the right person, but you know that they've published recently, or other people that they publish with, and that's a good way to verify that that's who you want to look at. And then we're going to click View as Combined Record, and it'll create a author page record from from the records that you've combined. It shows published names, different organizations that this person has been affiliated with. It shows some author metrics over here. It also shows publications and other co-authors. So lots of really good information. It might all not be exactly correct depending on how it's put in. But if you have claimed the record over here with this purple claim my record, you can submit a correction. So say you're not actually associated with one of these organizations or they got something else wrong, that's a good way that you can make that correction. Are there any questions on viewing author records or submitting a correction or anything like that? If not, we're gonna go on to kind of the last search feature in Web of Science, and that is the cited references. So this is looking at who has cited or how many times an article has been cited or an author. So again, we're gonna go with a cited author. I'm going to do Fossler and J and see if that brings anything up. Looks like maybe this might be the right person, but I'm not really seeing that many results. So let's go back and edit. You can just press the back button on your browser. Let's see. To be honest here, I do not know how to spell her first name because I don't call her by her first name. No results found. So let's just try Adkins again because I'm not very good at spelling and I don't want to, waste some time here. So if you're searching just the last name, you'll see a lot of results that again don't fit. There's 927 here. So when you're searching these things, you want to make sure to be as specific as possible. And you want to search last name, comma, first name or first initial. When you're looking at this results page, you can kind of select which ones you want to see and the other results page. So the normal one that we've been seeing. So if you know that all of these are correct, you can view all of them on the page, or if you know that only some of them are correct, you can pick just those. So what kind of information are we actually looking at? Well, this is telling us who the author is of the publication, what the work is, what the title of the work is, and the year and other information that has been published. And then it tells you how many have cited it. One thing to note about this number is that it won't be correct in all occasions. I don't know if I can find any quickly, but sometimes an article or a title will appear more than once here, and it's because when it was cited and how the information pulled in, it didn't line up. So you could have, the same title, but maybe one of the citations was citing a different page, or maybe it didn't say any of this information. And in that case, the same title will come up twice and it'll have two different records that you'll need to look at. So that's kind of the overview of Web of Science. There is a lot here to go, you can dive into. Again, if you do have any questions, we have the LibGuide, we can relink, but Web of Science also has a lot of helpful things. If you're using this interface for the first time, you'll actually see some helpful pop-ups. So it'll pop up and say, hey, we see that this is the first time you're here. Would you like us to walk you through sure. And you can either say no and it'll go away, or you can say yes, and it'll kind of walk you step by step through how to use some of these different things. One thing to note is that while these updates started sometime last year, it's still continuously being updated. So the cited reference search was actually recently updated to be working. And the alerts just within the past month or two are things that have just been updated. If you would like to stay up to date with changes that are happening and new things that are coming out with this version of Web of Science, you can visit the website for Web of Science release notes. I put a link in chat just now. So that's one way that you can keep up with what's new, how do I use what's new, and that sort of information. Are there any questions? Is there anything we skipped or went over, wasn't clear? Yes, and Emma, as Emma just said, this session will be recorded if you would like to view it for future. So we do have a question, is Web of Science searchable from EndNote? I do believe it should be. We no longer as a university allow people to have free access to EndNote, so students can no longer get EndNote for free, and you have to purchase it. So I do not know for sure. Emma has a little bit more familiarity with EndNote, so maybe she can take a question.
Yeah, like Logan said, I do believe you can reference Web of Science through EndNote. I can actually put a link to our workshop over the 3 different ones, as well as EndNote, in the chat, so you can look at that. And that also has my contact information, as well as a subject librarian who also works on EndNote as well. But to directly answer your question, that would be yes. So I'll go ahead and try to find that link, and then I'll go ahead and stick it in the chat for you too. Is there any other questions?
So we do have one more, and I was actually just about to address it in the chat, but it's, now's a perfect time to go over it anyway. So some of the unique features that we talk about, am I still sharing my screen? Can you still see everything fine or no?
You still are sharing your screen.
So
yes.
some of the filter icons that we maybe didn't go over super well, they're not coming up with this one, but let's do related records. Okay, it's still not coming up for our quick filters here, but there are some filter icons that normally pop up over to the left. I'll actually pull up the guide here. So there's highly cited papers, hot papers, associated data, review articles, early access, and open access. So if you can see this screenshot, if a filter is, if an item falls under one of those topics or quick filters, you'll see a little icon right beneath the checkbox for that particular item. A highly cited paper is a paper that receives enough citations to place them in the top 1% in their field, and a hot paper is published within the past 2 years and received enough citations to place them in the top 0.1% of their papers in their field. So that's a good way to see. The quick filters should have come up. I think that's one of the issues with new Web of Science, is that not everything is working as intended. So sometimes it'll be there. So I can try searching again. It's still not there, but previously it did show up. If you can get it working, then that's a great way to see, okay, what's new and up and coming, or what's something that's really important. So not everything that's highly cited is going to be good, but it is something to keep in mind of if you're especially new to a particular topic, maybe you're working in a different subfield than what you normally would. Highly cited papers are good to go to find stuff that's either really important in the field or really perhaps problematic in the field. But it's one way to kind of stay up to date on, what is the pulse of this field and what should I know when I'm looking at these papers. And that was a good question. Thank you for asking that, because we kind of glossed over that because it is a bit finicky with showing up some of those things. Do we have any other questions? And I think I was just about to, yes, let me link this guide again. If you do want to read more about it and see some of the other screenshots for stuff that that maybe we didn't show for some reason or just wasn't working. If there are no other questions, we can go ahead and wrap up for today. I want to thank you all for joining us.
Thank you.
Yes, if you do have any questions in the future, you can reach out to the Mizzou libraries and we would be more than happy to help you walk through that information. You can contact us either via chat if you have, you're working on them right then and you need help. You can send a question through our email. You can text us, you can call us. You can create a research consultation with a subject librarian and they'll be able to help you as well if you're really just struggling. And here's a link to that page to be able to contact reference whenever you need with whatever you need.